Hey, I hadn't really planned to make this video, but it's sort of been dominating a lot of news, so I feel compelled to say something. Um, I'm gonna make another video, maybe possibly on for in furtherance to the video I made on Jeremy Corbyn. Just taking the glasses off because I realise the light reflects on them and you can't really see me properly. Yeah, so basically, there's been a lot of attention on the fact that the new Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, wasn't singing the national anthem at St Paul's Cathedral yesterday during the commemorations for the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Britain, which was, of course, a pivotal event in Britain's World War II. 544 airmen died that day, 75 years ago. Um, I want to say one thing first of all. I personally don't believe this issue is that important, so I'm not making the video because I believe it's an important issue, but rather I'm making the video to cover some of the issues around this. So not singing the national anthem in itself, I believe, is a non-issue, and I don't really want to give it more attention, but I do believe it raises some important points about constitutional monarchy. Um, Firstly, I want to challenge this idea. Incidentally, just so I make my position clear, I don't think it's a big deal that he didn't sing it. I think maybe he could have sang it, even if he disagrees. Possibly he could have sang it. Um, when someone is aspiring to be prime minister or they're leader of a party, I I do agree that image on some level is important. I wouldn't sort of say that it's entirely vacuous and entirely shallow, because you have to consider, for example, if a potential Prime Minister Corbyn was meeting other world leaders to secure trade deals. If he appears like a London School of Economics professor in tweed jacket, it doesn't give the impression of being serious, quite frankly. So I do believe that image does have some importance. Don't think that's entirely cooked up by the tabloid press. I do think there is some importance in that. A prime minister has to look prime ministerial, and so far Jeremy Corbyn, I'm not talking about his philosophy or anything like that, but in appearance he doesn't look prime ministerial. Let's just be honest about that. Is it the most important issue? Of course it's not, but nor do I agree that it's insignificant. Because I'm mentioning this image about issue because it's been brought up a few times. Obviously, if someone votes for somebody because of the way they dress, that's ridiculous. But at the same time, I think it is legitimate to expect a leader who is aspiring to be prime minister, whether he says he is or not, that the implication is if he is still leader by the time of the 2020 election, then he will be expected to lead Labour into victory. I don't think he will win, but the point is that the the initiative is there or should be there. Um, so yeah, someone who may one day be prime minister should act prime ministerial. Um, and within reason. I'm not talking about spin doctors modeling his every move. In fact, I think that's very. I'd like to see the end of that, but I do think he himself should just recognise that it needs to be. I mean, if you go to a job interview, you don't go in jeans and like the way I'm dressed right now. You would go relatively smart. You don't have to wear Savile Row suits or anything like that, but at least give the impression that you take it seriously. And it's pretty much the same thing. Now, in regards to this silence. I really do think they're making a mountain out of a molehill. The gutter press, of course, have been all over it. The Sun has been saying he hates Britain and all the rest of it. It's a lot of crap. Even some Labour people have. Simon Danjuk, who, based on the things he said, I think he's quite a right winger. He has said that it's downright disrespectful. I don't agree with that. In fact, the Daily Mirror should say the Labour MP for Rochdale said he might whether he likes it or not. Danjuk actually has a track record of being quite disrespectful, I think, to his leaders. He said some pretty unglorious things about Ed Miliband as well. Nothing wrong with an MP speaking his mind, but I don't get a good impression from this guy. Um, Ronnie Campbell from the 1930s. Still live in a free country, just. I absolutely agree with Ronnie Campbell. I think that um, one of the hallmarks of being a democracy is free expression. So if Mr. Corbyn believes that the national anthem with its current lyrics or whatever is inappropriate, he should not be forced to sing it. Um, I mean, it's not like he made a protest. He did have a tie and suit to the service, um, and he has clearly said it was a beautiful service, and he was being respectful in his own way. I mean, his family were among those who sacrificed. So I think that it's ridiculous that the right wing press are all over this. Basically, they're trying to make a massive issue out of this to distract from real policy issues to do with welfare cuts, the trade union bill, etc., etc. They are infinitely more important issues. Speaking personally, maybe I'm biased because I personally believe we should change the national anthem to something that is more utilitarian. I think the Queen is an admirable woman. I think she has served this country for 63 years. Um, but the lyrics of the national anthem focusing on one individual comes across as sycophantic. We're a nation of 64 million people, so it just seems this is something that is, makes a mockery of democracy, quite frankly. Um, and I do not believe that public figures should be forced to sing the national anthem. I personally believe the national anthem should be changed. Um, I do think that Jeremy Corbyn should be quite careful with some of his links. I will say that. For example, appearing on Russia Today, now that could be seen as unpatriotic, much more so than not singing the national anthem. Appearing on Russia Today, pandering to the Putin regime, I think that was a big mistake. And there is many policy areas I think he can legitimately be criticised on. But for goodness sake, don't attack the man on such trivial issues. I suppose to some people this isn't a trivial issue, but I just believe it's part of a campaign to. I mean, the Sun is going to be absolutely relentless. We're going to see headlines every day. Um, Look, I'm not a Corbyn supporter. There's a lot of areas I strongly disagree with him on, but the criticism has to be on policy, not on these callous, pathetic personality attacks that have little importance. Um, he's made his position clear. As far as I'm concerned, this is a non-issue. However, it does highlight wider issues about free speech in a parliamentary democracy. Um, the idea that people should be forced to grovel to the monarchy is ridiculous. Now, some people have said it's hypocritical because he's on the Queen's Privy Council. Perhaps it is, but until we change legislation, that's going to be the case. I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching.